Okay, time for a new video. Welcome back to my channel, or hello if you're new. This is yet another Eurovision 2025 related video here on my channel, and another Melodifestivalen 2025 related video, because right now I'm about to listen for the first time to snippets of all of the songs in Heat 4 of this year's Swedish selection for the upcoming edition of the Eurovision Song Contest, which, as we all know, will take place this May in Basel, Switzerland. I'll also be briefly talking about last week's third heat. As always, you're welcome to let me know your thoughts on anything I discuss in today's video by leaving a comment down below, and as always there are links in the description to my other social media pages. Check them out if you so wish. I also want to mention that I will be filming a Q&A video within the next couple of days. As I talk to you now, it is the 20th of February. By the end of this week, I want that Q&A video filmed and uploaded. If you'd like to ask me any questions at all, Eurovision related or otherwise, please check out a short video I uploaded a short time ago titled Q&A Announcement, and leave your questions in the comments section of that video if you so wish. Now, focusing on Melfest once again. Last week's third heat, which I thought was the strongest heat so far, took place in Västerås, and maybe, again, a little bit of a surprise with the results. We don't know the specifics in terms of the age range, voting and all of that business, but what we do know is that another two songs have progressed straight through to the Stockholm final next month. Gräsula and Annika Vicky Helder are the names that went through from last week's show, and Dolly Style are through to the second chance round thingamajig, which will take place at the end of Heat 5, 2 weeks from now. 3 songs are out entirely. So let's go through them one by one. It has been a while since I watched these performances, so you'll have to bear with me, but they're all available on YouTube anyway. Song 1 was the newcomer, Gräsula, with Believe Me, and I believe this is an entirely new team for Melfest. None of them have ever really been involved before. So how fantastic, in a sense, that this was the winner of Heat 3. And I have to say, I've listened to this track quite a bit over the past few days. I would go as far to say it's probably one of my favourites of this entire Eurovision season. It's very musical theatre. The first time I heard it in full and saw the performance, I thought to myself, this could easily be on stage in some sort of production in the West End or Broadway. Very sort of Rent, American Idiot, almost Rocky Horror Picture Show, because it's got this glam rock thing going on ever so slightly. Quite a few people online were comparing him to Freddie Mercury, Bryan Adams, musicians like that, and I can understand why. This was performed in a very convincing manner. And I've written here that I can see this doing quite well. He was in a sparkly jacket, a sort of leather jacket if I remember correctly. At the start it looked as though the piano was floating in the air. There's also a camera in the piano, which you could see at certain points. It was used. That was quite interesting. The song takes a little while to really hit top gear. There's flashing lights. The chorus holds back a bit. I wouldn't say that this is a chorus that is really, really explosive. It's almost a little bit restrained, but that's okay because I think it makes it more accessible to people who maybe don't listen to this style of music too often. It's not really alienating, I suppose. I think there needs to be a bit more to the staging, but I don't know what. Of course, if you add too much, you run the risk of it being very cluttered and then it looks clumsy and messy. But I do think there needs to be a little bit more. And perhaps towards the end, the song ran out of steam a little bit because it felt as though the chorus was just being repeated again and again. There were some pyros as well at the end of this track, and then it ended on a very tender note. But on the whole, this was very good, and I'm happy it's in the final, and I can see it maybe challenging for the win. Then we had Song 2, 24 Karat Gold by Malou Pritz, still so young, back at Melfest again, looking great in this gold attire, couple of dancers. The issue here, it did resemble last year's entry by Marcus and Martinez a little bit too much. This corridor of lights, albeit more dangling gold beads this time around. Vocally, it wasn't that impressive either, I have to say. I think Malu was maybe struggling to really sing this song for whatever reason. It felt as though the backing track, the backing vocals, were really doing a lot of the heavy lifting here. So I can sort of understand why this didn't go through, but it's such a shame because I think Malu is a pretty good performer and she's had some cracking songs in the past. I've written here that it looks fairly strong, golden beads all around her, sparkly gold outfit, bit like Marcus and Martinez at the start, little bit too reliant on the backing vocals, female dancers, needed to be more original. Yeah, pretty good pop song with this throbbing beat at times, but ultimately not really bringing anything terribly new or exciting to the table. Now, sometimes that doesn't matter at Melfest, but in this instance it just wasn't enough, and so she finished third in the second round of voting, meaning she's out. Song 3 was Dolly Style. No, it wasn't. Song 3 was Bjorn Holmgren with Rada Mai, and this finished last. And I think after about 20 seconds you could understand that this probably wasn't going to make the final or the second chance round thingamajig at all. There was a sort of waiting room look to this performance. There was a wall, a window, a clock, seats. He was sort of moving back and forth for 3 minutes, casually dressed, whistling at the start of this track, which was quite interesting. But I've written so little, and that's simply because it didn't really leave much of an impression, and I didn't really know who was going to vote for this, so it's out. Then we had Dolly Style with Yee Ha, which I think is in with a really good shot of making the final. This was clearly not a song or performance aimed at somebody like myself, a guy in their early 30s, but by God did I enjoy this from start to finish. It was performed so convincingly. You sort of know what you're going to get with Dolly Style. They've had various lineups over the years, and this is their strongest effort yet, in all honesty. Clearly just a bit of fun, very throwback. The vocals were maybe a bit like with Malu Pritz. Perhaps the backing vocals, backing track, were doing a lot of the heavy lifting at times, but I have seen a video online of Dolly Style rehearsing a cappella, and their voices really are quite strong and they go well together, so it is what it is. Bright and colourful, a sort of almost heavenly looking rodeo. That's the best way that I can put it. There was choreo and it was pretty slick, to be fair. You know, dancing and singing at the same time. There was a lot of it. I've written here Hannah Montana. Hannah Montana. It reminded me a little bit of music from that show for some reason. They're having a good time. Their colourful outfits, the wigs. I actually looked on Instagram at their individual profiles just to see what they look like without all of that stuff on. And unsurprisingly, they look relatively normal. They're all influencer type figures, I guess. One of them was tanning on a beach last month. So I would say Dolly Style is a very separate thing from their personal lives on their own Instagram pages. It's not like they were really talking about Dolly Style too much. It's a very separate thing. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. Very catchy. Maybe needed to feel a tad more epic somehow. But the crowd seemed to enjoy it. And this was #1 on Sweden's Spotify very recently. So I think it's in with a very good shot of making the final. And what's great about this group is that clearly a lot of young people probably love and adore this group, and that's great. You know, it gives them something to support, it gives them something to root for. You know, a child's first favourite band could be Dolly Style. Absolutely wonderful. Yeehaw, back on the horse. I'm all over it. I'm all over it. I would not be surprised if that is higher rated than Mons for me personally, I can tell you that much. Then we had Angelino with Teardrops. This was ultra forgettable, mid-tempo, sort of white squares on the stage floor. He had a couple of dancers, a rain effect on the backdrop, which then pulsed blue at certain points. Just too basic, I've written here. Big notes towards the end. That was somewhat impressive, but ultimately this didn't really have much of a fighting chance. And then we had Annika Vicky Helder with Life Again. She did well last year, making the final, mid-table in that final. This was more up-tempo than her previous effort. Great rolls of fabric behind her, which I have to say looked a bit ugly. Maybe it's just me. Not bad, fairly uplifting, life-affirming stuff. You know, clearly a song with a somewhat hopeful feeling. I don't mind it at all, but I am surprised in a sense that this finished above Dolly Style and Malu Pritz, in all honesty. But this is Sweden, so, you know, maybe I did expect it somewhat. Euphoric and hopeful. Yeah, I'm repeating myself here. I think towards the end she was maybe struggling a little bit vocally. But, you know, not too much of an issue. And that is my review of last week's third heat. So now, it's time to focus on Heat 4 at last, which is taking place in the Malmö Arena in Malmö, a venue that's hosted Eurovision on 2 previous occasions, including last year. The lineup: Andreas Lundstedt with Vicious. He is 52 years of age, part of Alcazar, and he has been at Eurovision before for Switzerland in 2006 as a member of 6 for 1. They opened the Athens competition, so he has been there at Eurovision in the past. He's been in Melfest a long time. His first effort was in 1996, so almost 30 years ago this man has been involved in some capacity with Melfest, and we'll see what his song Vicious is all about in a moment. We then have Ella Tiritiello with Bardu Erder. This is a young female musician, 18. Her song is co-written by 2-time Eurovision winner Loreen, and she's performed with the Royal Stockholm Philharmonic Orchestra in the past. Then we have song 3, which is Yours by Tennessee Tears. This is a male-female duo. They were in Melfest a few years ago with Now I Know, which I believe was knocked out in the second chance round thingamajig. That was a pretty solid effort. I'm expecting more of the same. Song 4 is Barabarabastu by Kai, or KAJ. This is a 3-piece male group. Don't really know much about them, I'll be honest, but their song, based on what I've seen online, which isn't too much admittedly, could be in with a very good shot of going through. Song 5 is Do Good Be Better by Amena. Don't know too much about her. And then song 6 is Revolution by Måns Zelmerlöw, who, in my opinion, is only coming back to try and win Eurovision and be able to say that he's won Eurovision twice as a lead performer. I don't really see any other reason for him coming back. Just for a bit of fun? I don't think so. He's here to win, and I think he knows he's probably going to, and at Eurovision he's going to feel very confident as well. He's 38, he's married to Ciara Jansen, who is actually on a British soap for several years, which is quite interesting. Anyway, he's been in Melfest a couple of times before. He's released a whole bunch of albums. Karamia did quite well. Hope and Glory did quite well. He won with Heroes in 2015. Now he's coming back with Revolution. And Måns, you know, he does get a bit of a hard time on social media, I think. I think there's a lot of pressure on his shoulders, and people are expecting this to be a Eurovision winner. I think so. But if you're coming back, having won Eurovision before, are you really going to come back with something stronger? Loreen came back with Tattoo. Was that really stronger than Euphoria? I'm not sure it was. Alexander Rybak came back, and his follow-up effort definitely wasn't as strong as Fairy Tale. Johnny Logan, maybe you could argue his follow-up effort was stronger, but it's very difficult. And I don't know. I don't want this to be one-sided. It could be. He could win the final by a mile. What a waste of time. It's like Ace Dilal, for crying out loud. But we'll check out his track and see what it's all about. I'm going to do this, as always, in order of preference, so I'm going to begin with Song 5, Amena. What I'm watching won't be in the bottom corner of the video you're watching, that's the way it usually is, but these are still images anyway, and chances are you've heard these snippets by now anyway. So here we go, let me know what you think. Finally getting on with it. Song 5, Amena, Do Good Be Better, here we go. It's a ballad. Interesting voice. Very interesting voice, actually. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Pretty simple chorus. Blimey, that was over in a flash, that snippet. Didn't really, for some reason, it's 45 seconds, so maybe the song is shorter than some of the others. Yeah, that didn't really give me anything, to be totally honest with you. I can't say that I'm super pumped up to listen to that one this weekend. But there we go. Seems like a very simple melody and very easy to go along with. That's song 5. Next up, we're going to check out song 1 by Andreas Lundstedt. Okay. Electro pop. Definitely hints of Alcazar here. Pre-chorus. Yeah. Not a bad opener. Okay, this sounds very familiar. I can't remember the name of the song, but it sounds very familiar to something I've heard before. Oh God, yeah. Okay, yeah, the chorus is maybe not packing much of a punch, but it's definitely in that electro-pop realm, I would say, and it sounds ultra familiar to something I've heard before. Anyway, that's Vicious. We now move on to, well, I think we'll check out Barabarabastu by KAJ. Accordion. Is this a jokey entry? I don't think so. Bit of Finnish. It feels a bit like a sea shanty. This isn't too bad, actually. Pretty decent beat. It'll be interesting to see the staging for it. Yeah, definitely giving me sort of sea shanty vibes. Yeah, not bad at all, actually. I can see that doing all right for itself. Next up, we will check out Måns Zelmerlöw. This is not the song that I'm most excited for here. With Revolution, is he going to win Eurovision and not break a sweat? Or is this bang average? Because if it is, I'm not going to be happy. Here we go. Okay. I would say right at the start of this snippet, it feels a little bit more emphatic somehow in the verses in comparison to Heroes. Bit of piano in the pre-chorus. Yeah, I would say that it's got a little bit more gusto to it than Heroes. It feels as though it's got more energy somehow. That is very likely to be the winner of Melfest. I think so. That 1 minute long snippet alone is all I need to make me think that it's probably going to win Melfest comfortably. And if the staging is impressive, then the juries will wet themselves with excitement, and that could be the end of it before the public votes are even added. However, putting on the realistic Eurovision hat right here, I don't think that's good enough to win Eurovision, irrespective of what the staging's like. I don't think so. I mean, should that go to Eurovision, which is likely, he will do very, very well. Very, very well. He will be a contender to win the whole thing. But this snippet is not bowling me over and making me think, wow, that is very, very clearly going to be the favourite if it goes to Eurovision. I'm not thinking that at all. Not bad, but I wouldn't say it's absolutely sensational. You know, I'm just being realistic here. Let's now check out Tennessee Tears with Yours. See what this is all about. Okay, yeah. Country stuff. I can appreciate it. Quite pleasant. Okay, interestingly enough, whereas Mons is coming back with something that I think has a little bit more vigour to it than his previous effort, to me it seems as though Tennessee Tears are coming back with something that has slightly less vigour to it. So I'm already saying that I prefer their previous track. It's not bad. I mean, it reminds me of the Shires, who are a country act from here in the UK. It gives me those sort of vibes, which is not a bad thing. I'm not sure this is going through, though. I'll be honest with you. But I don't mind it. That leaves Ella Tiritiello, the debutante, with Barra do Ardar, which I'm surely mispronouncing. Let's see if it's any good. Little bit of acoustic guitar in the background here. Yeah. It is difficult for newcomers sometimes, it really is. Because people, I think, sometimes do vote for the name rather than the song. Pre-chorus. Feels hopeful, yes. I feel like this is going to be one of those songs that really does take a while to get going. Duadar. Okay, that didn't really get me too excited, I'll be honest with you. That was definitely a teaser. Sounds as though it's going to play it relatively safe, which is okay for a debutante. But yeah, I'm not sure that's going to really get too many votes. Enough to progress, that is, this weekend. Anyway, I'm rambling now. So I think Mons is winning, and he probably knows it. Going through with him, I would say it's between, well, blimey, I would say it's between Tennessee Tears and Kai, K-A-J. And then it will be one of those, I think, maybe going through to the second chance round thingamajig as well. Meaning Amena, Ella and Andreas are all probably going to miss out. But there we go. We'll wait and see what happens in Malmö this weekend. Feel free to let me know your thoughts, and I'll be back with another Eurovision 2025 related video fairly soon. Have I just heard a 1 minute long snippet of the Eurovision 2025 winner? I really don't think so. But then again, maybe I have. Until next time, take care of yourselves, stay safe, and bye for now.